Welcome to Best Fork and Friends with your host, Etch. And we have today Jesi,
Hello.
Paul,
Hey there.
and my good buddy, Kyle.
Yo.
So before we got on here, we had a little bit of a debate going on, and we're going to continue with it a little bit. And I'm going to let Paul elaborate on what he's saying, and it's something about the moon landing. So, Paul, could you elaborate on what you were talking about before we got on air here?
Well, for years, I believed that there was no possible way they faked the moon landing. And everything looked concise, and I could not find a way that I could debunk this fact that we landed on the moon. And believe it was 1969.
Mm-hmm.
And
Good year.
Yeah, I don't know. I wasn't alive. And then recently, I'm like, why can't we land on the moon again? And they keep saying, well, we lost all of our data from back then. And that's what NASA continues to claim. And then you see all this footage from the moon landing and all the pictures that they took, and there's hundreds of them. And all the pictures have contradictory shadows in the pictures with different angles. And they stated that there was no artificial light used during these pictures that were taken. Only thing that was taken was under the light of the sun.
Yeah.
However, there's these contradictory angles and shadows in the pictures that don't align. And I just now all of a sudden I think they faked this shit.
Yeah.
I really think they faked it.
Yeah.
If we can't get back there, 55 years later? 65 years later.
Yeah.
No, it's 55. 55 years later.
It's been a long
If
time.
they can't do it now, why would I believe that they possibly did it then?
Yeah.
How many times have they tried to do it since then?
Man, I don't need to know how many times they tried.
I need to know how many times they succeeded,
if
right?
they wanted to do
I'm
it.
not a dude about failure.
We
I'm a dude
send-
about succeeding.
Yeah, exactly. We send Elon Musk sending up
if it's not-
Starlink all day long, satellites into space. They're doing freaking all these flights that are just considered what do they call them? Nowadays.
Funsies, I think.
Funsies, yeah,
let's just go touch the
Exploratory.
tip.
You're
They call
talking
it,
about exploratory
Yeah, if you-
missions?
yeah.
Well,
We're just touching the tip is what I call it. Touching the
if
tip.
you can send all these rockets into space
Yeah.
for just like you said, funsies. Why can't we get to the moon if we know where the freaking moon is at, bro?
We know exactly where we need to go, right?
It's right there.
Here's my
So-
question real quick is why can't we go to the moon for funsies, right? Let's get, we're touching the atmosphere for funsies.
Here's why. It costs a lot of money, and we've done it already, so we go to the next thing.
Kyle.
Yeah. Well,
Nobody
and
on
so
the planet can prove that they've been there.
To give
Yeah.
a little bit of information here, too, I actually just watched the movie First Man with Ryan Gosling, where he plays Neil Armstrong and the whole process of, them landing on the moon and everything. And I noticed in the shuttle that the hours were 76 hours had passed since they had launched. And that was them getting to the moon. So these exploratory satellites or satellites that you're talking about that are going up, that's not near as far as what the moon takes to get to.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of adding some information here.
So think about that in respect of time back in 1969 when they went to the moon. It wasn't like years had lapsed, right?
Mm-hmm. It was
They
days.
launched a mission, and within days they were there. So I don't understand how that would relate in that aspect as far as time has passed.
I was just giving information compared
Right,
to the
right. I
satellites
get
that
it,
are
I
being
get it.
launched out. That's a lot different
They were even finding
because it's just
differences.
outside of our atmosphere
And the
than
satellites
going
are
to the
useful.
moon.
The satellites do stuff,
Right.
right?
Yep.
The reason to go to the moon back in the 60s was, besides trying to one-up other countries, but it's discovery and it's the next thing. Well, we did that already. What's the next thing after that? Let's put all of this
Ocean.
billions
Has
of dollars.
any other country that also does exploratory space missions actually confirmed that they've been to the moon?
I don't know the answer to that question.
Yeah,
I don't
we're
know
not
I
either.
there.
don't believe they
Yeah.
have.
No.
I don't
I
know
believe
either.
They have.
But Paul, real quick on your you say it's not real and stuff and all this or whatever. Do you believe that technology's been helped by aliens by any sorts? Because
Well, I honestly, I
with,
do.
with your
I
with
do.
what you're saying, I feel like you're
I do.
you're replying to a quick jump.
When I was
right?
in the military, I was in aerial intelligence, so I tracked targets via different applications, and some of the devices we used, I don't know how they were freaking designed by mankind.
Exactly,
I really don't.
right?
It looked like something in a capsule, and we took the capsule cover off, and it looked like something out of this world. I really have no idea how it was designed, made by mankind. I really don't believe that.
Well, I think from was it the Blue Book that they released on the alien activity and like actually the government validating like alien spacecraft and beings and things that have been reported. I think they did claim that there was craft and technology was mimicked
Yeah.
from the craft.
Well, I mean, I personally believe it had to have been because it was the early 1900s that we flew like 30 foot or 50. I don't know the exact number that the Wright brothers flew, but they flew in the air a little bit, right? And it wasn't 50 years later that we supposedly landed on the moon. So the way I'm looking at it is there's two, to me, I mean, this is all to me. There's two
Speculative.
ways. Yeah. Either A, we had help because it took us thousands of years to just go 50 foot or whatever it was. And then it took us 50 more years to go to the moon. So it's either we had help or it was fake. So, I mean, to me, that's your two options, right?
There are three options. Let's be clear.
What's the third option?
That we did it. Without
Oh, wow.
There were
Yeah, my bad.
a lot
I
of
kind so you're
there
saying
were a lot
no,
of failed attempts.
okay, so
Like,
you're
a lot of
saying
people
our
died.
third option is that we did it with no help.
That's correct. That's
Okay, well,
logically,
it's
that's
an option. I just
right?
don't believe that's
I
possible.
hear you saying that you don't believe it, but
You're
can
right.
we
It's an
agree-
option. You're
can
right.
we agree that's
Kyle.
an option?
I think it could be a combination.
For
Yeah.
30 years of my life, I believe that the moon landing is real, and now I don't.
So
I'm just
something
saying,
changed
based
in
on-
Paul's
Based on my
perspective.
observations and the footage and the science that has came out of it, and the fact that they cannot reproduce it, to me is ridiculous.
But I
Hey,
think it's
Kyle,
like
you know how
Kyle's
much
point.
money you talk about money they spend to go to space?
Yeah.
You know how many freaking expeditions they take to space every year? And how
When
much money
when you
that
say
costs?
expeditions, what do you mean?
There are hundreds of space expeditions every year?
To me,
Whether it's-
expedition means a manned mission.
I'm talking
to
about
space.
men in spacecraft. They go to space, whether it be through Elon Musk Corporation or
SpaceX.
yeah, I know it's SpaceX.
Bezos.
I'm just saying whether it's through him or
Yep.
there's like everybody's got freaking space missions now, man. And you're telling me that we can't
As long as everybody
they
is,
have
is
they even
Musk and Bezos and the NASA.
no,
But go ahead.
I'm saying even astronauts that work with NASA. NASA
And other
has not even attempted to go to the moon, man.
Yeah.
NASA just sent up a boat, not to the moon. You're right. They haven't tried to go to the moon since
Not in the
since the
attempt.
60s.
So I'm observing, and I think there's some contradictions here. So you're saying that the moon landing wasn't real, but you think that the government has received help from alien craft. Do you think that we wouldn't still have the capability to go to the moon because we wouldn't have lost that alien craft technology? I think it's more of like what Kyle was saying, that they're funding for other projects
If you
because we can't live on the moon.
Yep.
And I think the
Not
government
yet.
is focusing on
but there could be potential
next
resources
move
on the moon.
for people.
If you actually look into it, I've seen research that says that they no longer have the research they had. They lost the records that showed them how to orbit to the moon. They just happened to lose it. I don't know how you lose those records. And I don't know how you couldn't find the moon. I mean, I'm not an astrophysicist, but
Some people don't believe the moon's real.
I've heard that as well.
Hey, Kyle, let's
And I
one thing at a
disagree.
time.
If the moon was
Next
made out
subject.
of cheese, would you eat it?
Actually, I've taken a couple bites out of the moon.
Joel will appreciate that one later. His Harry Carey.
I just don't believe that if we went there 50 years ago, 60 years ago, and it was fairly achievable then, that we wouldn't easily achieve it again just to prove the world that it can be done.
Yeah.
But if we have the capability with the alien technology that you think that we have,
No, I
Hey,
didn't
there's
say
no
that
thinking.
Technology was still here.
know we got it.
that's what I'm saying. Like,
I didn't say that.
it's-
I didn't say the technology was still here
I get what you're
amongst the
saying.
living.
I get what Jess is saying.
But
though.
you were
That's our
using
counter
what you
argument.
thought was out of this
Yeah.
world technology to track.
No, I definitely know what I saw when I was in the military, was working with aerial intelligence. It may just been my surprise that we had those capabilities, but the things I saw, the mechanics I saw within these capsules, they were this tall, so about 3-4 foot tall,
Yeah.
and they had, you take the cover off, and there was thousands of, I'm going to call them widgets,
Yeah.
spinning in all
Yeah.
these different directions.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I couldn't believe what I saw. It did not look like something from this world. is
Yeah.
what I'm saying.
I would just
And-
ask, why couldn't humans create something completely different than what is commonly seen in
Well,
technology?
I mean, I can't say that can't be the case.
Yeah.
I just don't know anybody that intelligent. I've never met anybody that could create something as to what I've seen.
How
and-
many
and
of the
if they
8 billion
can
people on
create-
this world have you met?
Well, I've met a lot of smart
Yeah.
people.
Yeah. There's
but
a lot out there.
There's also very smart people that should be able to recreate going to the moon
If they wanted to.
if they want to.
Yeah.
But why wouldn't we want to? When
Because we
someone-
did it already.
Yeah. Yeah. Here's my thing.
Speculation, ain't it, Kyle?
Yeah.
Yours is speculation too.
I agree.
Yeah. Look.
All right,
listen.
well, we found
listen.
an agreement.
Listen, fellas. I've came to a conclusion that we're coming to a place. So, like, both things. Honestly, both things can be true. Like, we could have alien technology, but we could not want to go to the moon, or we could have faked going to the moon, right? That could be possible. So there's always more possibilities to everything. But Kyle, do you want to elaborate a little bit more before we go on to the next topic, or
On what? I think
on what we're talking about here? You got anything else to conclude, or
I
or
think
to say?
I think the potential for human creativity and development is greater than what I'm maybe hearing from some others.
Okay, so you're giving the common man more credit than probably what me and Paul's given.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We have a lot of smart
we
people.
couldn't have a TV with color and a VCR
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
or a DVD player in 1969, but we landed on the moon, bro.
Yeah.
With no crater, nothing.
But
We
now
landed.
we got flat screen TVs that
Well,
way.
we
I
had-
could carry one with one arm.
We had
That's 72
competition.
inches.
We had competition driving us though, because the Russians were gonna get
There-
there first.
There wasn't even a nuclear crater on the moon when
Soviets.
we landed that aircraft.
Oh, Soviets. Sorry. Yeah.
The Russians now.
Sorry.
Dude, that would probably offend if we were
I apologize.
if we were over in Russia, we would
I was
probably
incorrect.
I just
be
want to
offending a lot of
I
people.
want to conclude this
Apologies.
topic by telling America that the moon landing was bullshit.
And I'll respond by saying I believe the moon landing happened. So
I also think it happened, and I think, like Etch has said many times, that our government is leaps and bounds ahead of what the general public
Yes.
is aware of technology,
Sure.
and I think they are completely capable of doing a lot of things
Yeah, I think
that are
Mr.
unknown to us.
Mr. Armstrong is guilty of stolen valor.
Oh, don't say
Ooh.
that.
Sorry,
Yeah,
Mr.
that's
Armstrong.
a terrible thing to say.
He
tried his
watched a
best.
lot of his brothers die in a lot of attempts to get to the moon.
Well,
So.
that may be the case, but I still think it was faked.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I've heard that a lot about things that a lot of people think are real or fake. I've heard a lot of that it was filmed in a studio or whatnot. As we're kind of on this topic of kind of mainstream what we think is fake, I feel like we need to kind of elaborate on it. Is there anything else? We'll start with you, Kyle. We'll obviously get away from the moon landing, but is there any other mainstream things you can think of off the top of your hand?
You record little
people think
That's
that
it.
are fake.
Wait, hold on.
What is that, Joel?
Not sure what
I
that
think
was.
Joel was still Bluetooth connected.
Yeah. Branson, to be clear, that part should be cut out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll cut that out.
Edit.
But
Ain't gonna happen.
'Cause I
Been
feel
there,
like-
done that.
I feel like there's other things that are kind of the same way, right? Like people think the moon landing's fake. You got anything to add to that as far as anything else that you can come off the top of your head that is kind of mainstream that
Things that people believe to be true. That
Yes,
I
that-
think are. Is
well, no,
actually
not
fake?
necessarily that are commonly known to be. Yeah, well, yeah. Let's just go with that. That's good.
Gee.
I ain't trying to put you on the spot. I get it. We're
I
raw
know-
dogging this, by the
We're
way.
raw dogging this,
Yeah.
so I don't know the questions ahead of time. So.
Yeah. Well, you know what? There's something about spontaneously thinking that I appreciate, and that's what we're doing here tonight. We're spontaneously thinking.
Yeah, sure. So
Well, hey, has anybody else got anything he's thinking while we're sitting here?
As far as what, like real versus fake?
Yeah, like so a lot like I don't think Paul is in the low masses of people thinking that
No,
the moon
there's a lot of
landing's fake.
people
Yeah.
that
So
think
is
the
there
same
anything
thing.
else you can think of? Like here's my thing. So here's a big conspiracy is like does the like the grizzly man or whatever you want to call him, Bigfoot.
Bigfoot.
Oh, Bigfoot,
Yeah.
Sasquatch.
Yeah, Sasquatch, Yeti.
Uh-huh.
Like those are kind of like when he mentions that, that's kind of something that pops in my head because when you're growing up, you always hear these stories about like the Loch Ness monster and the Bigfoot and then you got people who are like fighting and like doing all these things to like track them down.
So
Is-
I think
do-
all that bullshit's fake.
So I'm
However,
glad to know what you're.
I know the moon is real. I don't believe we've been to the moon.
So I'm not saying that the moon's fake. I'm just saying, is there any? Do you guys feel like any of those kind of things are real, or is that just kind of like what other people think? And Paul, he believes in the moon. I mean, we all see the moon, but some people don't believe it's real. Do you believe those things are real, or?
I'm on the fence with the Bigfoot thing. Because supernatural or, things like that kind of intrigue me.
Yeah.
So I've seen, a lot of things about that type of myth,
So
right?
You believe in the chupacabra too?
I've seen videos,
I've
man.
seen stuff like that too. So it's a lot of those are eyewitness, right? We all know how credible eyewitness things can be,
If I saw
But
a
there
little
are some
green man
things-
running around the neighborhood, I'd believe that more than I would a Bigfoot.
until
But
you
there's
saw
been-
until
there-
you saw the Bigfoot. Right?
Yeah, there's been skeletons found. They're not just lurking around now.
yeah. Well, they've found hair
Yeah.
that is like primate connected. So how do you explain that? So there's pieces of it that I'm like, how do I decide what's real or fake of it? You
Yeah.
know, like, is it possible that there's this hairy primate, humanoid thing out there or not, because there's been, things presented for one way or the other.
Well, I mean, I have seen that there has been skeletons found of people that are ginormous, unexplainable. There's also another theory that these people are still around and they live in like caves and like the Appalachian mountain system or whatever. You know what I'm saying? That
Well, that could also be because they've talked about, and this is a real thing, there are actually people, like mountain people,
yeah.
that just went off grid.
Yeah.
Like they just went to go live in the woods and they have long hair. It's not like it covers their whole body, but they have long, unkempt hair. They, dirty but they're like from our society, they just went off grid.
A long time ago.
Yeah. And I mean, there's proof of that, but I don't know. I don't know.
I feel like the difference between the Bigfoot and the Loch Ness Monster and the Yeti and all these things, people call these conspiracy theories. We're kind of doing conspiracy theory part 2 so far, aren't we?
Yeah, a little bit.
But-
this is more myth related, but yeah.
But I was just gonna that's what I was just gonna say. I feel like it's more like a legend,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I think most legend is based off of something that is true, that's people that really existed or really people saw as an eye. Maybe they didn't know what they were seeing. Maybe they interpreted it based off of a I don't want to say pre-science, but pre-understanding of what they were looking at, right? And so they come up with some explanations, and then those spread, right?
Well, and it's fear based too,
Sure.
right? Because they're seeing something they don't understand, so it gets exaggerated in their mind,
Right.
possibly. I'm not trying to like unvalidate anyone's experience or anything, because
That's kinda
everybody
what-
has their own experience, right? But
that's kind of what I'm trying to get at. Is
Yeah.
exactly what you said. I believe people's experience when they say, "I saw the Bigfoot," or "I saw the Loch Ness," or "I saw the whatever," right? I'm not questioning their experience. I just think that people can experience things that, if they had all the information about it, would turn out to not be what they thought it was.
Yeah.
So I think you said they found primate hair. It could have been a primate. It could have been a big gorilla. I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't know all these stories, but can I imagine a really large fish or sea creature?
Oh, yeah.
Ocean,
oh,
whale.
see,
or
I
something?
believe that more than
I can imagine
wood
that.
person.
Yeah, I can
someone
imagine
living in the
that.
woods.
Yeah.
Right.
Just-
So if someone
yeah.
says they saw that, I'm not going to say, "Oh man, you're wrong," because that doesn't exist. I don't know if it exists or not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? So I just think people's experiences are valid, and but no one has all the information,
Yeah.
Right.
Like if we had all the information about everything, if we were omnipotent, even Paul would realize that we went to the moon. Right? So
I believe that.
man.
I believe that shit for years, Kyle.
You know what's crazy is you
Now
say
I
that.
don't.
I remember growing up, Carlisle Lake here in Illinois. It's one of the bigger man-made lakes. I remember the stories of apparently there were fish so big that they could swallow people, and that peoples went down there and got eaten by fish.
Well, I believe that because sturgeons
Eaten
get
by
huge.
catfish.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Those
saying.
Catfish.
It's
Is it catfish?
just saying. It's just crazy what.
The size
So
of
what I'm getting to is
DW
like
bugs.
a normal animal could just get ginormous, and somebody could think, "Oh man, that's the Loch Ness
Yeah,
monster, or that's
yeah.
Bigfoot."
Well-
It could be just a really big bear or something, right?
and these things have happened for thousands of years.
Yeah,
You talk about like Jonah and the whale, right?
yeah,
There's this whole story about this guy getting eaten by a whale, swallowed by a whale, and living inside it for 3 days, right? And then
Right.
getting spewed out. And now we have Pinocchio, which has the same story, right?
yeah.
And
Yeah.
so you just create the same stories
Well,
over
and
and over.
there's like Chinese stories that are about like dragons in the water, or
Yeah.
these they look like fish dragons.
Yeah,
Really,
yeah.
is what
They're
it's like a
serpents.
serpent.
They're
yeah.
Serpents.
Gyarados.
And they're like
Yep.
on the old school like papyrus,
Yeah.
like type of stories. So it goes back way back.
Which when
Which are
there's
types of catfish, essentially.
yeah, and when these things go back so many thousands of years, that tells me that there's something to them.
Yeah.
Even if they're not what we would, if it was a brand new experience,
There's some grain of truth
that we
right?
would have just discovered in our scientific age, would we have called it a sea monster? Right?
Yeah,
No,
exactly.
because we're in a modern scientific era, we would have called it something different, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
But
And
if
it's
you
just
think-
gotten elaborated over
Right,
time.
but if you think about it, how people would call it, just makes sense that there's something there, and we have some nice stories about it, but we don't really know what's true anymore because
Yeah.
it's so far back, and we just sort of built it up.
yeah.
So
Yeah, there's actually something I've been wanting to talk to you guys about for a little bit. I think it's a little bit crazy to talk about, but we'll start with Kyle because I feel like Kyle's the guy who's got something good to say right now about ghosts and how you feel about ghosts. I know I'm putting you on the spot, but you shouldn't have to think much about it.
No, I can
And
answer this
Kyle
one
is
better.
such a logical person. I'm really curious to like hear.
Yeah,
what
let's.
yeah.
Let's see what you have to say about this,
Yeah.
and we'll go around the spectrum.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Yeah, so ghosts are something that I'm open to the possibility of, but I don't really believe that ghosts like haunt
Us. Yeah.
people or places, at least not normatively. But kind of like Jesse was saying about the supernatural, I'm a pretty religious guy. Anyone who knows me knows I come from a pretty religious background.
Yeah.
And I don't know how one can be open to the supernatural in the strictly Christian context that I grew up in,
You shouldn't.
and not also be open to the supernatural in
And the
other contexts,
Yeah.
right? So if I can hold on to a belief system that allows for the supernatural in that aspect of my life,
Yeah.
then I can be open to the possibility
Mm-hmm.
that ghosts and spirits and other types of supernatural, and Christianity kind of tries to explain that away, and we won't get into that because that's religion. But
I was gonna say we can
But-
get in a rabbit hole if you really want to.
well, you're the host, so I'll talk about whatever you want. So I'm open to it.
Yeah.
Because it's supernatural being related.
Yeah.
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 So
And you're
I'm-
not supposed to believe in that. Yeah.
But I've never experienced it for myself. So I know there are people who have. Again, we're talking about experience versus
Yes.
reality
Yes.
again.
Yes.
So I am not going to say, Jesse's raising her hand. I'm
She'll
not
be
gonna-
next.
I'm not.
No,
gonna,
I'm just saying I've experienced.
Oh,
I'm not
okay.
going to say
Yeah.
that Jesse's experience is not her experience. That's gaslighting. That's. I can't tell anyone what Jesse's experience. is.
Exactly.
And because I know Jesse as an intelligent, serious person who's not in the habit of just making shit up, I believe her. And also, I've never experienced it.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
there's a different level
Yeah.
of belief.
Definitely.
Right?
Yeah.
I believe her experience. If the chips are down, do I believe that there are ghosts haunting things? I don't really.
Yeah. I mean,
But if I had a different experience,
yeah.
then my belief would probably change, right?
Yeah.
So I can believe Jesse, not even say she's wrong, if that makes some sense,
Mm-hmm.
but also not believe it myself.
Yeah.
Does that
Yeah.
make
Well,
that
yeah, it makes
sense?
sense. And
Yeah.
I feel like ghost, real quick, before you.
No, you're
I
fine.
feel
Go
like
ahead.
ghosts being here and ghost haunting to me are two different things. Because, like, a ghost haunting you is somebody is like trying to torment you, right?
Evil intentions.
Yes, bad intentions, right? So I guess the way I look at it is there's there's like good and bad in everything, right? So there's probably good and bad in that.
Mhm.
So Jess, do you have anything to elaborate?
Well, I can kind of add to that. I think there's different levels of
Yeah.
interactions. So I think I fully believe in ghosts. I'll just put that out there.
That's cool.
I also believe demons are possible.
Yeah,
Um,
that would be bad in your opinion, right? Negative.
Yeah,
bad?
so,
yeah,
but the way I think about haunting is in two different ways. So I think there are residual ghosts that are connected to a place or maybe an object. I don't know. I've not had the object experience, but place experience for sure. But as far as like the haunting thing, I think the one way is they're just trying to communicate with you.
Yep.
Like they're connected to you as a person somehow, and they're trying to get a message across. So they're using their energy to
Yeah.
portray that message. And it doesn't necessarily have to be bad. It
No,
could
no,
just
no.
be a loved one that's just trying to communicate with you and let you know that they're there, to watch over you. The other way is the negative way
Yeah.
of a haunting with a more negative.
They don't want you
And
there, right? Get out of my
This
place.
is my house.
Yes.
Like, get out.
Yeah,
That kind of communication. Which also, that can kind of split off to it's just that person's personality previously in that spirit or a demon.
Yeah.
And
See,
it's a
yeah,
negative
yeah.
entity that is really bad.
Yeah. And
So-
see, that's where like some people like I think they get scared about it because I feel like when you associate demon with anything, I think a lot of people associate like being possessed and I'm
And
not
that
saying
can
that can't happen,
Yeah,
and I'm
that
not
can
saying it
happen,
can't,
yeah.
but also I'm saying you could have a negative entity. I call them entities. I don't know what the proper word is for them, but you could also have those around you and not be possessed per se, but maybe they're tempting you to do something that you normally wouldn't do or whatever. A negative influence, right? Paul, I'm
But-
so
Or they
Can-
were a
can-
negative spirit in their life.
Yeah.
And they come across
I
negative.
have
Kyle.
a question for Jesse before we move to
yeah,
Paul.
yeah,
So you believe in a ghost that's sort of neutral,
yeah.
and then you believe in a negative spiritual presence. I don't know if that was still a ghost or not. Do you believe in a distinctly positive spiritual presence,
Oh yeah,
like
absolutely.
a guardian angel or
Yes,
something
and
like
I have
that?
seen one.
Say more about that.
Okay. So I was like 14 probably. Yeah, some maybe a little bit younger. It was when me and my mom were like just in the house, just us because my sister was already moved out. And I remember or no, it was before that. Sorry. Okay. So I'm getting sidetracked.
It doesn't matter.
I was going to sleep in my room.
Yeah.
And I've always had a fear of the dark anyway. Easily scared. And childhood trauma. But, and you guys can believe me or not, I don't care. But an orb of light started from my doorway. Like, it seemed like it was up high. And then just kind of like moved around kind of to my left. And it seemed far away, but it felt like it was on me too at the same time. Like it was so, and it had this like comet tail when it moved. And then it just like kept coming around. And I'm like, you know, with the covers like up.
Scared, yeah.
And like trying to cover my head, but I'm like watching too at the same time. And because I was like petrified. And then it just moved back out and went back out the door. And as soon as it was gone, I like mustered up the courage to like hightail it to my mom's room.
Yeah.
And I mean, I probably flew because I was so scared. But it didn't like, I don't know. It didn't feel bad. It just
That's what I was
scared me
gonna
because
ask.
I didn't
Yeah.
understand it. Because
Yeah.
I'd never seen anything like that before. And I didn't tell her about it.
Yeah.
And then years later, my mom was telling me about an experience she had, and she started describing the exact same thing that I saw.
Like an orb.
Without
Yeah.
without us even telling
Yeah.
each other. Like I had never told her. That's why I was running into her room
Yeah.
of what I saw. And she described the exact
Yeah.
same thing and the same feeling and that like feeling like it was close but it was far away kind of thing with the
Yeah.
tail and everything to the T. And I was like, are you serious right now? Because I experienced the same thing like a few years ago
Yeah.
and I never told you. So it was validating,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, to
we-
hear it from somebody else, right?
yeah, that I'd
wasn't there,
never
yeah.
told the story to. And she was, you know, going on a limb and being like,
Yeah.
sharing her story, you know, because people don't believe you when you
No.
tell things.
And I feel like that orb story that you're saying, I've heard that quite a bit. That they've seen, that's what they've seen has been like an orb.
And this was big.
Yeah.
It was like almost like a smaller than a kickball, I
Yeah.
guess you would say. That's
So,
how it felt, though.
I mean,
like,
yeah,
it
that'd be
was-
an experience.
yeah.
Paul, Ben, I've been itching to hear what you got to say, brother. What you got to say? I mean, itching.
Yeah. Well, me personally, I don't believe in ghosts.
Okay.
I think you knew that was coming.
No, I didn't. I don't, dude.
When I was
Paul, real quick, anything from you? I don't know what's coming. You're so unpredictable.
Unpredictable.
but I'm honest.
No,
Yeah.
and that's what. Hey,
I
that's
appreciate it.
look. Listen, that's what. Look, this group of people, and that's why I wanted to do it with you guys, and I was happy to because, dude, that's what we're all about. I want honest answers, man. I don't want what you think people want to hear. I mean, I feel like
Yeah.
that's the bad thing about like social media and everything. It's like we're gonna say what we need to say. Like we're gonna say what we feel, Paul, and
So-
that's what I love
And-
about
and,
us.
and without judgment.
I don't.
Yes.
I don't
Without
personally believe in ghosts, but when I was a kid, I remember my great grandmother dying. My mom's grandma
Yeah.
dying, and we moved into her house. And I remember us having a rocking chair in the corner, and my mom always told me that for no specific reason, she'd go in the living room, and the rocking chair would be rocking.
Yeah.
And she always said it was just great grandma coming to visit or whatever. I never saw it with my own eyes. The closest thing I can come to a spiritual like connection was my grandfather, my mom's dad, who was my closest grandparent and got me into hunting and the outdoors and things like that. Is we used to go to his house every Sunday.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, just got to get a little bit closer.
We used to go to their house every Sunday and have dinner and things like that. And he's
Yeah.
the one that got me into hunting in the outdoors, fishing, whatever. And after my grandpa's passing, there was times when I was out hunting alone, and I'd be sitting on a deer stand or whatnot, enjoying the outdoors, and I could smell his pipe smoke.
Mm.
And I don't know if it was just whatever.
You wanting to smell it,
I
or
wanted
if it
to
actually
smell
was,
it, or if I could actually smell it.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
But I could smell my granddad's like vanilla tobacco pipe smoke. And that's the closest thing I can relate to it, but I don't have any other relative connections to the spiritual world.
Yeah.
I've never seen anything. I've never heard anything. But I have smelt my granddad's pipe smoke on multiple occasions, but I
Yeah.
still don't believe in a ghost world.
Yeah.
Maybe
All
it's
right.
spiritual, but not like ghostly.
Okay.
I think those are two different
Well,
things.
I think also sometimes, I mean, it might just be me, but if I'm thinking about something crazily hard, I feel like I smell it anyway.
Yeah.
So maybe your grandfather's on your mind and you're smelling it.
I'm
You're making,
thinking
you know what I'm
of him,
saying,
yeah.
and you're smelling it.
Yeah.
You know,
I
sometimes we
That's
make
manifest
it.
possible.
the smell based
Yeah,
on the
manifest-
thoughts in my
oh,
mind.
man.
Yeah, manifestation's a powerful thing.
Well, memories trigger physical sensation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They do.
Yeah.
The other thing I would say,
I can manifest taste if I want to, right? I know what a chicken nugget or a French fry tastes like, and I can manifest that taste into my thought process.
the other thing I would just add to our conversation is, and this could be maybe Paul and I are more on one side of this, and Jesi and Etch are more on the other side of this, is I think when it comes to the supernatural, if you are people who are more open
Mhm.
to
I was
those
going to say the
things
same thing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
are more likely to experience those
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
So Jesi, when you made the observation that I'm very logical,
Mhm.
that's true, and because I'm very logical, supernatural is not very
Mhm.
logical,
Mhm.
right? But I've also been raised in a way to believe that the supernatural is possible,
Mhm.
and so it's a tension with me
Mhm.
to I try to logic the supernatural, and it doesn't, frankly.
It's contradictory.
Right.
Yeah.
That's kind of like why I avoided so to say the least. When I was younger, I was taught that using a Ouija board brought on negative things, and you
Yep.
open your soul to
Mhm.
negative
Yep.
things.
It's always
right?
negative, right?
You open your soul
Yeah.
to
Demons
negative
is what I
souls.
was
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And therefore, I did not partake in Ouija board, and to this day, I have not.
Yeah.
I did
Oh,
once, and I regret
That's
it.
a lie. I did it one time, and I did not like what I heard,
Same.
and I didn't do it again.
Yep. Same.
But I also believe that by doing so, if you are open to these negative things, you're exposing yourself to negative things. And so I just avoid it because that's not a belief system I want to follow.
Yeah. And I'm a more open person when it comes to that because I think I'm just naturally that kind of person anyway. So I have experienced more things
More
probably than
inquisitive?
most people.
Yeah.
I think I'm kind of an empath. like my empathy is like a very strong driver for my personality, and I think that naturally makes you more open.
Yep.
I didn't know you were empathetic.
Yeah. I'm hard on the outside, but I feel everything on the inside.
Yeah.
You're kind of crunchy.
She's got a harder outer shell with a
You're like
smooth.
an M&M.
But that's a
creamy
protection
inside.
mode for
Yep.
me because I've learned over the years I have to close myself off so that I don't experience too much that I can't handle.
Yep.
Because I have experienced things by being too open
Yep.
and getting scared, and I don't like to feel scared,
Yeah.
obviously. And so I have to mentally close myself off to thinking about things like that so that I don't experience stuff everywhere I go.
Yeah. It's scared for you a lot. Sometimes to me it's hurt. You know what I mean? So I feel like sometimes we shut ourselves off from kind of whatever hurts us the most, right? We're going to shut ourselves off for that.
Or even another way, if I could say it another way, what makes us feel safe?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm logical, not because I don't think I'm trying to shut myself off from hurt, but because logic feels
Safe to
me,
you, yeah.
Mhm.
right?
Yeah, I like that's a better way of putting it. We're human, right? We're going to do what's safe and what feels safe for us. So,
It's,
And maybe that's why some of us are more disconnected from what we were just discussing about.
yeah, cuz we
Yeah.
feel safer. We don't want to be
If
connected.
we don't believe in it, maybe we won't see it.
Yeah.
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 And if you don't believe it ain't real, right? I remember when I was a kid, I used to play this game all the time, and it ain't real. If I close my eyes and I can't see you, you can't see me, right? You remember the old game?
uh-huh.
That ain't real.
Yeah.
We all know that, but I feel like that was a game we played as a kid. It's like,
That's kind of a developmental stage for
Yeah,
kids
it-
even.
yeah,
It's,
exactly.
you know, once you learn that just because you can't see something, it still exists.
Yeah.
That's kind of a breakthrough,
Yeah.
right? To-
Outside of Santa
Definitely.
Claus, that's true.
Santa Claus is real, Paul.
Just because you can't see it doesn't mean
All
it's
right.
not real.
But I want to expand for a second on what you said,
You
Etch.
expand as much as you want.
All right. So you were talking about like protection,
Yes.
like putting the outer shell on
Yes.
as a protection just in general from feeling hurt. And I feel that. Like I totally understand where you're coming
Yep.
from because I also had a hard childhood and with trauma, and there definitely is a combo of self-protection from not only being open to experience but also closed off from being hurt by people.
Oh, yeah. And it definitely so being like that is not, I don't think it's a good thing. Like, I think it punishes the people that love you the most. Like,
Because it's
that-
hard to show emotion.
yes. And then they're like, well, you don't care for me. So it's like one of those things.
You don't
like,
tell me you love me every 5 seconds of the day. I'm sorry, I can't.
yeah. So yeah, that's
I
a
understand
complicated.
where
Well,
you're
because
coming from.
people that love you typically need words of affirmation.
Yeah.
That's typically the situation.
that's one
in
type
life.
of love language.
But whenever you've
Words of
protected
affirmation.
yourself,
Touch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or a lot of, I've heard a
Gifts,
lot of
quality
times it's
time,
not about what you say, it's about what you do. So like showing your love, it's not, I mean, I'm not saying it's hard, but it takes time. We could say I love you. I could say I love you 100 times
It's
in
a
one day, but I
vulnerability.
can't show you 100 times in one day how much I love
oh,
you
for
because
sure, it's a
there's not that
vulnerability.
many opportunities.
Well, that sounds like a needy person if you have to tell them 100 times.
Well, no, I'm not saying
Yeah,
I'm
no.
not putting that's not me. I'm just putting in a perspective that there's people like that
that need that affirmation.
yes.
Yeah. Which, usually as a needy person, but
If it's that, like Paul said, if it's that bad, then
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
probably a little,
Girl,
a little
I
needy.
think-
Girl, I don't got the means to help you.
I'm sorry. I only got so many words.
I got a
in one
guy
day.
over here. He's a psychiatrist.
He'll help you out.
everyone needs to feel loved
Yeah.
in whatever way that they're
They need to
receptive
feel
to
loved.
Yeah,
it, right?
I agree.
So
That's why
Can-
there
can-
is such a thing as love language.
can you
There
go
is.
overboard and be almost
Too much or ask
Codependent,
too much
right?
too, right?
Yeah.
Ask too much,
Yeah.
right?
Require
Sure.
too much.
Yes.
sure,
Yeah.
but also there's some level that everyone needs
Yeah.
that's healthy. that they need it to be healthy in themselves, right?
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah, I agree with that too.
Yep.
But for us that have walls up, it's hard to show
Yeah.
other people how we feel sometimes.
Yeah, like
And I
growing
think
up.
people change as well.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
absolutely.
definitely.
Yeah.
So-
and like for me and Katie's example, we've been together 23 years.
Yeah.
Um,
Have a
of
beautiful
course
family together,
we've
by the way.
changed.
Beautiful family.
We've changed over the years.
Yes. You have to. Look, listen.
But I still require words of affirmation.
Yeah.
I still
Well,
require
Paul,
touch.
I told her I'd come and serenade you with my voice every night before you went to sleep, and she was not on board with
You
it.
have not, and I've waited. You failed to show up even
She
one
wasn't
time.
on board. Hey,
failed to show
your
one
wife's
time.
got to be on board,
Hey.
dude.
You know what? If there's going to be 3 people involved in this, there's got to be enthusiastic consent from everybody.
Exactly.
Okay?
And she was like,
you
"Look,
did the right thing.
I'm trying to sleep. We got kids to get to school."
I got migraines.
I keep waiting. I wait up all night long. It never happens. I got my cameras on.
Well, dude, I might set it up with her one night. Hey, I'm just gonna come there just for 5 minutes and then I'll leave. We'll set it up, right?
Just a surprise.
Yeah.
You pop out from behind the curtain.
But yeah, with my banjo, I don't even know how to play it. I'll figure
He's
it out.
like,
Ding,
beauty
ding, ding,
queen
ding, ding,
of only 18 she.
Oh goodness. I pictured that whole thing in my head.
I've been picturing it for a long time. It just hasn't happened yet.
And you got to do it in the really low Etch voice too.
Which one?
That one.
that one.
This one right here.
The,
We're gonna continue this.
the very white voice.
I'd probably shoot
The
you.
very white.
If you come to the back door and go, Paul, I'm probably going to shoot you, Edge.
Let me in. Let me in, Paul. I've been waiting for this time for a long time. You've been waiting for me too. I know you have.
You're probably going to die, Edge.
So just so you guys know, Paul's house is well protected. So
Plenty of guns, for sure.
I have another question, and I'm going to start it with Kyle because he's our resident genius. No. So we're sitting here talking.
Thank you for recognizing that.
No, we're talking about all these different things, and I guess there's a lot going on, and it's kind of hard to answer. But also, I want to know, where do you think our future is? As you could either answer it as a country, as a human
people.
beings, or however you want to answer it. But I feel like we have a lot that's gonna go on, and like, how do you feel like where are we going? Like, how do you feel like? You know me. I feel like AI is gonna be controlling us in a few years. What do you think?
Yeah. That's a huge question.
Huge question.
It's
Narrow it
loaded.
down as much as you
Loaded.
got to, because we're all dogging it, like I said. Barry White style.
So I'm going to go super high level because
'Kay.
otherwise...
Dude, that's what, dude, I expect nothing less.
Yeah.
If you said, I'm going to give you low level, I would have told you to get out that door.
Super high level.
Okay.
I think that I have a lot of faith in people.
And people,
In
and genuine people.
Same.
You're a people, you're a people, you're a people. I have faith in you guys.
faith is
Okay.
very, very misguided.
So you're a pessimist, but I have a lot of faith in people to overcome challenges and to adapt. Okay? So I don't think things are going to go beautifully in the future, but I think whatever comes in the future, the human race is going to figure out how to adapt and be happy and make the best of what the situation is. So if AI takes over, I think we'll figure it out how to be happy in that way. If, that's why I don't get too worried. I mean, I certainly have opinions about how things should go in the world. I have
Yeah.
lots of opinions.
I feel like
That's
we all do.
That's
yeah.
a whole other
Yeah.
conversation.
No, it might not be. We'll get there.
Well, you're the host. You're the host.
We'll
man.
get there.
I'm starting high level.
We got
right?
time. We got time.
But I think people, anyone who's too doom and gloom about, oh, if this leader takes over or that leader takes over, or if there's a nuclear missile that gets launched, or
Yeah.
some things are bad. Things are bad. Bad
Yeah.
things happen. But I think
I
the
agree.
human species has this profound ability to adapt.
Yep.
So when people come to me about climate change is going to extinct the human. No, I don't think so. I think the human
Nah.
race will adapt. nuclear war is going to do. No, I don't think so. This leader or that leader is going to destroy the country. I that's all too doom and gloom to me.
Yeah.
I have a lot of faith in not every individual person. There are a bunch of depraved people.
I'd
out
hope
there,
not, because there's a
okay?
lot of people
Yeah.
that have zero faith.
But I just have a lot of faith in well-intentioned,
Yeah.
good people
Mm-hmm.
that will figure out how to overcome the obstacles. So you ask, what do I think the future's going to look like? There's going to be a lot of adversity. There's going to be a lot of disagreement. There's going to be a lot of people that figure out how to overcome,
But we'll be all right.
and
at
we're
the end
going to
of the
be
day.
all right.
Yeah.
And you could look at any previous decade or century or whatever and apply that same statement that you just
Yeah.
made.
Yeah.
Adversity, like there's always things that are happening to people and in our
For sure.
lives and the world, and it just the only constant is change, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. You can't. If you look at a photo from you 5 years ago, you don't look the same. And if you do, give me your recipe because I want it. I want it.
And how many of us are the same person we were 20 years ago?
Yeah, no, not
emotionally,
even not
mentally.
even physically,
Yeah.
but mentally. Yeah, for
Yes.
sure. I mean, we grow
Absolutely.
so much all the time,
yeah.
dude. The guy when I was the same person I was when I was 21, bro. I wouldn't even want to deal with that guy.
I also have a very optimistic view, like Kyle was saying.
Yeah.
I would
of the
like-
faith and good of people.
I would like to, but I don't.
He's like, I work in the prison system. I
No,
can't."
and I was in the military, right?
Yeah.
So I think the fact that globally there's so much going on.
Yeah,
Right now, the U.S. is in the middle of 4 conflicts,
yeah.
essentially.
Because we want to
You've
we want to
got-
butt our nose and everything, right?
Yeah, we're already butted into the Ukraine and Russia
Yeah.
situation. You got Taiwan and China,
Yep.
Israel,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
I mean,
What's number 4?
it's there. Give me a second. I'll think of it. There is a 4th one.
It doesn't matter. There's multiple.
No, there is 4 right now.
Yeah. No, I'm saying there's just a lot of conflicts we like butting into.
Oh,
Sounds
the
like
Iran
America.
situation,
Yeah.
which is also connected to Israel.
Yeah.
That's
But
all
anyway.
the Middle East. We'll just
Yeah,
say the
yeah,
Middle
yeah,
East.
But either way, we're in
Which is
4 conflicts.
multifaceted.
Yes.
But
exactly.
either way, you're working with different world powers. And the
Yep.
fact that I was in the Army, I see a scenario where this is going to happen. And I do believe that in the next 5 to 10 years, there will be nuclear conflict. And there is such a thing in the military. There is a plan in place that calls for catastrophic. It's called guaranteed catastrophic. What is it called? Catastrophic. Guaranteed catastrophic. I can't remember what it's called. Destruction. Guaranteed catastrophic destruction.
Yeah.
Which is where one country nukes a country.
Another-
major
yeah.
Talk
city,
about mutually assured destruction.
that is it.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then they retaliate with
Uh-huh.
another strike. And I don't foresee a future that does not include this because there's so many. We have too many nuclear weapons. Other countries have too many nuclear weapons. Russia is not going to tolerate Ukraine, even though they attacked Ukraine,
Yep.
coming into their country and now striking Russian facilities for too much longer.
Yep.
I just don't foresee this continuing.
I don't disagree
Eventually, it's going to come to that, and there will be catastrophic losses. However, I do agree with you that mankind will overcome it.
Yeah.
with that. That's what I'm saying.
Mankind will. There will be
That you're
billions of
describing
losses.
the adversity.
Yeah.
Yeah,
men
there will be
men are
millions of
genuinely good.
losses.
People are
Yeah.
genuinely good, right?
Because
And
the
it-
people shooting the missiles
the whole
aren't
world,
the good aren't the people I'm talking about that I
Yeah.
have a lot of faith
Yeah.
in.
the people
Yeah.
Right.
over
It's the masses.
the entire time mankind has existed. There's been ebbs and flows, good times and bad,
Mm-hmm.
and it will proceed that way. There
Always.
will be nuclear warfare,
Yep.
and billions of people will lose their lives. Mankind will persevere. You know what I mean?
We'll figure it
I
out.
think it's
Yep.
always
We're like cockroaches.
Life will,
We will persevere.
life.
if you want to put it
finds a
that way,
way.
but I'm trying to. I'll put it positively and say life will find a way. Humanity will find
Thanks,
a way.
Jeff Goldblum.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah.
I think there's always a balance.
But I mean,
to
I think
things.
it's inevitable. I think that it will come to that.
Yeah.
By
there
the
will
way, there's
be-
a reason I don't live in a big city.
there will, I
Same
agree,
here,
I
dude,
agree.
because that's the first place they're gonna go. Right? We can all agree. Like,
We
if
need-
it gets crazy, they're going to the big cities.
we need to
right?
get away from St. Louis. That's
Yeah.
what we're not out of the
hey,
destructive
Paul.
zone.
Hey, Paul, where
That's
are we
just-
gonna go?
That's just gonna walk
I'll
out
follow
with like
Paul.
5 eyes or something.
Wherever Paul goes, I go.
Yeah, we'll live
we'll
here.
follow as a stream together.
We'll-
It'll be like a river.
We'll live here. We'll just
people.
grow extra
Body parts.
parts.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah.
And you're
Well,
welcome.
dude, we could just grow kids, right? That's what they're doing. Like, apparently, there's a there's a conspiracy. Like, we're getting on conspiracy theories that Queen Elizabeth used to suck on baby fetuses, and that's why she would live to be 90 years old, right?
Yeah.
Oh my
I never heard
gosh.
that before.
I
Hey,
had neither.
Me
But-
neither.
but
But,
if it
there is a
come-
conspiracy theory that King George is a vampire. So
but if
Oh,
it-
dude, same episode.
I will say, if it ever comes to it, grab your resources, come to my house.
Yeah,
We'll strategize at the
Well-
house.
well-
get her
Yeah.
guns. And
exactly. I feel like if there,
how's your bunker coming?
yeah, I don't. Hey, we don't need a bunker. There's a lake right there. We'll just go underwater, right? Nuclear shit can't go underwater. It's
There's
been proven.
a theory that Tom Cruise is a vampire too.
Oh, did you see that?
Yeah.
Well, he is
the kid
fucking sexy,
from,
and he's like 60, what, 50 something
What's
years
that,
old.
Um,
Has an age
Jerry
a bit.
Maguire.
Yeah.
The kid that was in Jerry Maguire looks like he's 10
Older
years older
Yeah.
than
than Tom
Tom
Cruise.
Cruise.
Well, yeah, because he's
I
sucking
think
baby
that was
fetuses.
I think that was a doctored photo.
I don't
though.
think it was true either.
I think it was.
The guy was like grade.
Yeah. So I think Tom Cruise picture because he's in his Top Gun uniform.
Mhm.
I think it was from the first Top Gun.
But either way, Tom.
not the new
No,
one.
Tom Cruise today does not look as old as that man did in that.
yeah,
photo.
well, dude,
Yeah. No.
he's one of what do they call it? He's a social, yeah, Scientologist,
Oh
man.
yeah.
You pay,
I've
you
started
pay your
watching
way
a
into heaven.
documentary about that today.
There is a price. That's what they've always said,
Ugh.
right? There's a price.
I did a project in school when I was in high school on that. You're
Really?
right.
In
You are right.
Scientology?
But
I did an independent study in philosophy, and so I did a project comparing the Moonies
Yeah.
to Scientologists. Yes,
did-
I did.
I did mine on
Yes, I
UFOs and
did.
how real I am and how real they are.
and
Mine was agoraphobia.
I hate to say it. I'm sorry that I went there with it, and I pray the best for our kids. But when I said I think it's going to happen the next 5-10 years, probably will. And if it does, it does.
Ain't nothing we can do about it.
Nothing.
We
We'll
can't
just-
control.
We'll deal with it when it comes.
That's
Yep.
right. all
That's
you
what
can
we're
do.
good about, right?
Pray for the best. Do your best.
But you know
The
what people
human
are
being.
really
It's
good
so
at?
positive of you to say, Paul.
You know what people
I'm
are
not
really
a
We'll
negative.
we'll get through it.
Jesse, I'm not a negative person. I think.
Hey, you ain't the most positive either, brother.
No, I think I'm a realist in that regard.
Yeah, you know
Yeah.
what? Sometimes
I am
realists
too. I
are
just-
are
I like
people
to-
who are considered not fucking positive. But hey,
I mean, I
whatever.
think I'm a realist.
I'm more of a
That's
realist too, but I have
I
more
have-
of a optimistic
Yeah,
approach.
I'm not
you're
sure.
more a positive realist.
I'm not. I don't think I'm a pessimist. I just think that I realize the facts that are at hand and
Yeah.
the things that are most likely to come about in our lifetime. And if they do, people should be prepared for it.
But you know what people are really good at in times of crisis is coming together and helping each other in times
Yeah.
of crisis.
That's a fact.
And
Banding
that's-
together.
And what you're talking about is for
Acceptance.
sure a crisis,
Just-
right?
Yeah,
And
acceptance.
crisis breaks down the walls. We talked about 9/11 earlier,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
Crisis breaks down the walls.
Yeah.
One of
And
the
everyone
craziest
becomes
days
part
of my
the
life.
same team.
Yeah. I was in 6th grade, dude, in
I
the
was
library.
at Fort Bragg, North Carolina, driving down Bragg Boulevard
Yeah.
when I heard on the radio that those planes had hit
Towers have
those
been
towers.
hit.
Yeah.
I was about 3 blocks down the road at Greenville College, and everything changed.
I was
Shattered.
in class in high school, and it came over the intercom.
All of a sudden, I got a call that everybody had been recalled to Fort Bragg, and that they were shutting down the fort, and that we had to go on patrol. And every day after, every morning, every afternoon, we were looking under buses for bombs, school buses,
Yeah.
because we had schools on Fort
Yeah,
Bragg. right?
man. You don't even know after
We're
that. You're
under the
looking at
buses
everything.
for bombs and everything else. It was a crazy time
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah, I feel like that's a subject that we can really get into next time, which we will. And also, I've been wanting to do this. This is a teaser. Denver Airport, right?
Oh,
We've always
yeah,
wanted to talk about
yeah.
Denver. We're going to talk about Denver
Well, there's
Airport.
some-
The next time I'm the
Yeah,
host of
There
this.
yeah.
is some stuff.
Are
Yeah.
you talking about the Illuminati?
Really
at
close.
Denver
We're
Airport?
talking.
Denver
Hey,
Airport.
No, the
you
secret.
get. Hey, Kyle, you were bitching earlier about not giving you a heads up. You're going to be on my next podcast,
Kyle,
and the
have you
first
ever-
thing we're talking about is Denver Airport, so you get a little bit
Have
of
you
heads
ever
up.
been to Denver Airport?
Yeah.
I have.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have.
Evil.
Out there in the middle of the desert?
Evil.
Uh-huh.
I've been there. I
Okay.
didn't notice anything evil there, but
No,
I've been
Oh, I
No,
had a
it's all
feeling. I didn't notice
underground.
nothing, dude. It's a feeling.
And
See?
it's really not at Denver. It's airport.
It's all
It's
underground.
about
Yes.
20 miles west.
Yeah, I'm talking about the alien airport
20
underneath Denver
20 miles
Airport.
east of the
Oh.
airport.
Or
there's
slash
speculation.
government.
Yeah,
base.
I'm not talking about Denver. I'm talking about the land.
The
All right, so I
underground.
need to get
So-
educated a little
Yeah,
bit.
You
so
do.
next time get
Airport.
educated.
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about next time. Thank you
Yeah.
guys for this episode here. I'm going to wrap it up here. It's been a great conversation with these great folks. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Friends till the end, best for